Through the efforts of Dr. Ramesh Kumar, we are transported in the time to some of the most pivotal moments in Goa's history. He is a fighter. He dares to swim against the current. 2 days ago, he gave a statement against the weather department that claimed that the recent rainfall is not the coming of monsoon, but he said that it is indeed the arrival of monsoon in Goa. Now, when the monsoon is about to begin, let us drench ourselves in the knowledge about the stems that he shall shower on us. Over to you, Dr. Ramesh Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, let me thank Dr. Subodh Kerkar, the director of the MOG Foundation, my good friend, Savida Kerkar, who has always been very happy to this one, and my own colleague, Albert Gavaya from NIO for ages, I should say, whether it's from various things, and all my colleagues and friends, including her, and just now I met him also. So I would like to thank some 3 or 4 people before starting this. I would like to thank my father who introduced me into this philately for a, let me say, from a very young age, as he was correctly mentioning. And I would like to thank Sri V.R. Navelkar, who is actually the founding member of the Goa Philately and Numismatic Society. I also would like to place on record Dr. Charles Lobo, who was the PMG, Postmaster General of the Goa Philately, let's say, Postal Division. And recently we had actually one senior superintendent of post office, Dr. Sudhir Jakre. He wanted to make, always people used to say Goa is a land of fun, funny and football. He also wanted to make it a philately cup. For the last 2 years, Dr. Sudhir Jakre has not left any stone unturned, whether the flora and fauna, you name everything, including he has actually several stamps on COVID-19. A box of stamps which are collected by my father. It is what we call definitive stamp. I'll just circulate among you, can see how painstakingly he has done. It actually comes in a postal cover. He cut it, soaked it in water, got it, put it in a blotting paper and made it into bundles of 25 or 50. Mind you, not now. Huh? This is what happened when I was actually 5 or 6 years old time. So this is his collection, which is, I would say, it's like a treasure box. You can just see and pass it on. So these are all the stamps, what we call definitive stamps, which are regularly used. Okay. Yes, I want to know, can any one of you tell me 5 it is called the king of the hobbies or hobby of the kings. Can any one of you tell me 5 important philatelists? Anyone can tell me? I want 5, at least 3 or 4. I can give a clue also. Today is the birthday of that person also. That's also one clue. And they are all big shots, sir. Okay, I will tell you. One is actually Roosevelt, FDR, Queen Elizabeth II, John Lennon. Can you imagine these people collecting stamps? Never in your wildest dreams, no? Roosevelt collected. Benjamin Franklin, he was the Postmaster General of actually USA. He discovered our currents also and so many things. Benjamin Franklin. So there are lots of people who are actually collecting stamps. And what type of materials can be used? We always think it can be only a paper. Not necessarily. It can be of several things. It can be printed in sheets and rolls and whatnot. And the shape of the stamp, this is what attracted to me. If you can look at, there are triangular stamps, hexagonal stamps, and of Mahatma Gandhi, it's actually a circular stamp you can look at. And again, the typical rectangular type of stamps also. And can you imagine? The stamps can actually smell. It is like a scented stamps are there. It's a coffee stamps are actually really smell coffee, huh? Whether you like it or not. Jasmine stamps are there, rose stamps are there, sandalwood stamps are there. And in addition to that, you have actually leather stamps, ceramic stamps, chocolate stamps which can really be eaten. Don't think it is actually a stamp, it can be eaten. I don't think you put a cancellation or whatever on that, but stamps which can be eaten. So you have actually leather, chocolate, glass stamps. In fact, Austria has gone one step ahead and they have actually made stamps out of tissue paper. Can you imagine? So you go to any extent to do it. Even in the recent, this one of actually Russia and Ukraine. The Ukrainian people, I don't want to go, they had actually put a nice word actually, -- Russians they put. And made a stamp. And there was a long queue of actually philatelists or non-philatelists to collect such stamps. Another question which will come to your mind is actually, can I have a stamp of myself? Yes, you can. There is actually facility now where you can go actually to the post office and there is a thing called My Stamp. If Savida wants to have a stamp on herself. She just knows to go to head post office Panjim and pay 300 rupees. Her photo will be there. Or maybe Siddharth or Subodh's. Anybody's stamp can be printed with a nice background. So imagine you can send your own stamps to anywhere. That's what we call a My Stamp facility is there. So it's a brilliant facility by the Department of Post which can be used, and people can also use it for the corporate purposes. And this was actually done in Goa. Remember, Goan theatre has actually celebrated more than 125 years. And the whole function was actually held with lots of felicitation of various people at the Kala Academy. So this is what we call a sit and stamp, two stamps stuck together, and you can see the typical this one. So it has been there for ages, and you can see some of the signatures of some of the theatre artists of Goan theatre also. This is another Dekni dance. In fact, I think Ravindra Kerkar was actually mentioning in one of his speeches here only, in MOG Sundays only, that maybe I think Bobby, this one also, whatever, they have actually adapted and mentioned so many things about this, but then it's actually typical this one of. Last 2 or 2.5 years, we at the Goa Philately and Numismatic Society has done tremendous work with the help of actually the Department of Post. So we wanted to have an outreach with the people, and we mentioned that donate plasma to save lives. There have been a lot of controversy, people saying that plasma therapy may work or may not work. So, but we did a wonderful job. And remember, this cover was costing only 25 rupees or 30 rupees when it was released. 30 rupees when it was released. Within 1 week, the price became 300 rupees. You don't have to wait for ages. Within 1 week, we are just discussing that about the demand and supply. So within 1 week, the price became almost shot up 10 times in the philatelic circle, and it sold like hotcakes. And one of the most important unique thing about Goa is actually what we call a pilot taxi. I think nowhere in the world you would have seen that. We will have some narrow roads going into the topmost, and anybody can go safely. Nowhere in the world it has seen. But then other people also have started. So this is actually unique to Goa. It's actually what we call motorcycle pilot carried, and this is what we call a carried cover. We have several of that carried cover. So basically you can see, we actually left from the head post office Panjim. In fact, I also went along with this group. And from here we went to Old Goa, that's Vella Goa we went, and then came back. So you can see, there's actually how it went from Panjim, it went to Vella Goa, and there is actually a carrier. There is actually Dr. Sudhir Jakra's signature is there, you can also see. And we need to put a relevant stamp also. Please remember, the relevant stamp is equally important. It's actually the Old Goa, this one also. I won't go into that, you can see that. Now, I would say this is the first time when we had actually, let us say, a stamp or let's say a cachet of actually Shanai Goemma. So, if anybody except you, those who got the prizes will have to keep quiet so that everybody gets a prize or a book or this one. So, can any one of you tell me what is so great about him? Okay, good. So, Savida gets, come, yo. Savida Dita. He is the father of modern Konkani thing. So, to kita jai, kita diupa jai, sang maka. Okay. Maybe I will give you the Goa state thing. This is actually the state symbols of actually Goa. Very appropriate for Savida. All the state symbols are there. Okay. Thank you very much.